In question 8, we're being asked to rationalize the denominator, and it also shows some restrictions. So for example, m is greater than 0. And just to make sure that you understand the restrictions are based on the inside radical being non-negative. So m is greater than or equal to 0. And the denominator not equaling 0. So we also get m not equal to 0. So together, here we have m is greater than 0. So the same thing is happening over here. Okay, we have the inside the radical, this term must be positive or 0. So we have u is greater than 0. But since it's in the denominator, it can't be equal to 0. So again, together with these, we get this u is greater than 0 restriction. Now that restriction doesn't exist in D because the variable is in the numerator, so we don't have to worry about that. So we're going to rationalize D. And the other part of D is that since it's a cubic, we wouldn't have the negative restriction on here. We would just have a 0 in the denominator restriction. But for D, we're just going to rationalize the denominator. And to do that, we need to find a perfect cube in the denominator. Okay, so we have 5 in the denominator as is. Okay, let's fix that a little bit. So we're going to have 5 in the denominator. And to rationalize this denominator, we're going to multiply, get a 5 cubed. So 5 times 5 in the denominator. And we're also going to get 5 times 5 in the numerator. That's all going to be under a cube root. Okay, so then we end up, in this case, 20. In the numerator, we're going to have the cube root, since they're compatible, 5 times 5 times 6. So we're going to have 25 times 6, which is 150. And then we have the t, so just making sure I've got all the factors. That little 3 is an index, so just make sure you don't mistake that for a multiplier. And in the denominator, we're going to have 5, the cube root of 5 cubed. They undo each other, so we end up with 20 over 5 and the cube root of 150t. So 150t have no perfect cube factors. This simplifies to 4 cube root 150t.